What is up, YouTube? It's Josh. This is the Den of Nerds. This video is all about the Obi-Wan Kenobi standalone film that has been rumored for a long time. I actually got my hands on a little bit of information that kind of hints to why we haven't heard more about this movie, and I think it's pretty intriguing stuff, so I wanted to do a video about it. So let's get right into it. Now, it's been long rumored that the next standalone movie after the Han Solo picture was going to be an Obi-Wan film. This has been rumored because JJ went out of his way to go get Ewan McGregor to do a voice recording in Rey's vision in The Force Awakens. So a lot of people thought starting then. There was also a number of interviews that Ewan did after that movie came out in which he expressed his desire to come back to the universe, how he thought there was a story there in between the Alec McGuinness and the Revenge of the Sith Obi-Wan Kenobis, and on Tatooine there's a story there, is what Ewan said in a lot of interviews. So a lot of us have put together that it would be really cool to have that be that mysterious third standalone movie or Star Wars story movie that is on the slate currently and does not have a title. Now, this film was originally the Boba Fett movie. In fact, a story broke a couple weeks ago that we almost had a teaser for the Boba Fett movie. There was a logo made. Josh Trank was, of course, handling production on that and going full steam ahead when the proverbial floor fell out underneath him, the big debacle with Fantastic Four, and they canned that movie and canned him. Very tough. But ever since then, we've all been really curious, well, what movie is going to take the place of that picture in the Star Wars standalone movie slate, or whatever you want to call it. And so we got a little hint last week. Now this comes, I want to read this directly. This is a quote from, let's see here. His name is Anthony Breznican, and he is basically, if you don't know who he is, and I don't know him by name, but I do by reputation, he handles the Geeky Beat on EW. So he basically reports for EW, and if you don't know this, Entertainment Weekly and Disney, when it comes to Star Wars, they have a very good relationship. EW always gets these exclusive stories, these exclusive covers, all this stuff from Disney, which I will actually get into a little bit later in the video because I think it kind of hints at what we might be talking about here. But basically, this guy was on Rebel Force Radio, which is a weekly podcast, and he said something kind of intriguing about it. He said this, and I quote, "I have heard rumors that the one reason they haven't moved sooner on Obi-Wan," that being the standalone movie, he was asked directly about this, "is that they are not done with Obi-Wan quite yet in the saga films. So I wouldn't be surprised to see an Obi-Wan solo film happen beyond Episode 9. Now, interestingly enough, that kind of coincides with something that Kathleen Kennedy was quoted on saying, I believe it was last week, where she kind of said, well, we probably could do standalone films for the rest of time. They don't necessarily need to do episodic films any longer. And if you don't know, basically Disney Film, all the big producers, the story group, the future directors and writers of films, there is a big event happening in January of next year where all of these people are going to kind of gather. It really reminds me, the vibes I get from it, it reminds me of the editorial retreats that Marvel Comics famously does, where their creative teams and their editors all go on a retreat and talk about stories. They pitch ideas and they come up with an idea for storylines moving forward and how that's all going to tie together. Their continuity is a big deal. Of course, the same thing is true of Disney. Their continuity with the novels and the comics and everything is really important to what they've established as their new Star Wars brand. So in January, they're going to take a big investigative look at everything that happened because, right, Episode 7 will have came and went. Did huge numbers, huge success, very big deal for them. Rogue One blew up the internet on Monday, probably going to be a really big success for them. And that includes the reshoot thing. And I don't care what anybody at Disney says, the reshoots were a bigger deal than they were letting on. Maybe not 40%, you know, saw something on Twitter, Pablo, maybe not 40%, but I'm telling you, it's a little bit bigger deal than they were willing to come forward and talk about. So for them to do that, if Rogue One is a success critically and financially, that'll be another feather in their cap. When they meet in January, they are going to iron out what they are going to do post Episode 9. And this might include that solo film. They might not even have production on that solo film going on right now. It's kind of the vibes I get. So, if, getting to the root of the story, if Obi-Wan is not done in the episodic films, and Kathleen Kennedy has said they are not sure whether they're going to do episodic films after Episode 9, what that means is that Obi-Wan is going to play a role in Episode 8 and in Episode 9. Now, this could be in a number of different reasons. I'm going to go into the two main ones right now. First, obviously, Rey's lineage, right? What was Ewan brought in to do? He was brought in to voice for Rey's vision. So it is possible, and a lot of people think, that he could play a role in the episodic films as being a part of her lineage, whether he is her father or her grandfather. It is very, very possible. Now, we don't really have flashbacks that much in Star Wars, but there's rumors that Rian Johnson is going to put flashbacks into Episode 8. If he does that, that's a brilliant spot to put Ewan McGregor in, especially if he is Rey's father and or grandfather. It's also possible that Rey's vision will be expanded. Remember, I covered that. There's a video that I did about that, where basically that vision is going to pick up where we left off. She's going to continuously go back to that and see more opportunity for flashback and flash forward, and having Obi-Wan in those films. So that's one way that Obi-Wan could be in there. It has kind of rekindled all of these rumors that it's very possible that she is a Kenobi, or that Rey is from the Kenobi line, which I think would be really, really cool. It's actually, I remember I saw The Force Awakens like 3 times in 2 days, and every single time I saw the movie, I had a different theory as to who's Rey's parents were, and one of the big ones was Obi-Wan. When I heard the Obi-Wan voice, and it was the Alec McGuinness voice that actually caught me first, I was like, oh my god, she's a Kenobi, like, it's gotta be, right? She's gotta be a Kenobi. So it's very possible that that's the way it would go. The other, and probably more plausible explanation, is that Ewan will be brought in to do Force Ghost duty and convene with Luke Skywalker. I really see no reason why both Yoda and Obi-Wan, and Anakin for that matter, wouldn't be convening with Luke Skywalker. I mean, Yoda, one of the last things that Yoda says to Luke is that you must pass on what you have learned. The whole time Ben is convening with Luke as he's on his hero's journey. I see no reason why they wouldn't continue to have commune with him, especially if he is ushering in the new age of the Jedi Order. There's that big rumor that Yoda, as a Force Ghost, was supposed to be sitting next to Luke at the very end when he's standing on that cliff. It was, little Yoda was supposed to be there. Huge rumor that that was supposed to be the case, and they ended up cutting it. I do think in a lot of ways, JJ, whether you want to call it hyper-conservatism, playing it too safe, or what have you, he really kind of didn't tweak what he didn't need to, and he left a lot of stuff open-ended so that Ryan, basically, who would shepherd in the story for the next 2 parts, would have the freedom to fill out the movie and go places that he wanted to go. JJ wasn't necessarily going to do what he wanted to do in that episode, but he wasn't going to exactly do something else that would cause that to have a problem. They have actually, there's been some reports that Ryan wanted JJ to do some things that JJ just did not do, but also that JJ would do certain things to allow Ryan to have a clean slate moving forward. So really, really fascinating stuff. I mean, which would you prefer? Hit me up in the comments. Like, would you rather have Obi-Wan be that Force Ghost and kind of play a role like that moving forward, or do you want to see the flashback? You know what I mean? Do you want to see him as being a part of Rey's lineage? I think either or could be cool, and we could have both technically. I mean, there's really nothing wrong with that. But what this story really, really means is, I think that they are going to hold off on this Obi-Wan movie until he is established more within the episodic film. So basically, if either one of those things is true and we get more Obi-Wan in episode 8, you could see something happen where they would do a solo standalone Kenobi film to sort of fill out something that happens in the episodic films. I think this is something that they might be looking forward to. It might even happen post episode 9. They might do a thing where they kind of, right after episode 9, have this Obi-Wan film. It informs things that happened in episode 9 and as we move forward. You know, I had this thought the other day that it'd be kind of cool if they put some space between the trilogies. Like, I want them to do episodic films, like, don't get me wrong, but it would be kind of cool if they did standalone pictures for a while and kind of filled out the mythology of that one succinct time period, meaning the episode 7, 8, and 9, and then we get a new episodic films, which kind of opens up this new chapter. Like, you could do a 2-3 year gap, and then when the episodes return, it could be like the return of episodes to the Star Wars saga, and everybody would lose their shit, and it would be really, really cool. So I think that that's kind of what's going on. But this is a legitimate story. This guy, by the way, who does the Entertainment Weekly stuff, there's a big theory out there that he's more or less on payroll. So this was not a mistake, basically. Like, people are saying that Disney was very clearly trying to get this out in the PR sense, public relations sense. They wanted to kind of give an explanation as to why the Obi-Wan standalone film hasn't been capitalized on, or why they're kind of staying away from Kenobi when it comes to some of these other things in expanded, well, I guess not expanded, you could call it expanded canon or whatever. But very, very interesting stuff. Are they trying to put that out there to get people hyped up about the episodes? Are they trying to rekindle possible speculations about Rey's parentage? Are they trying to throw us off a certain trail? Or is it possible they're testing the waters, that they literally want to see whether or not fans really, really want the Kenobi thing or not? I mean, if this thing trends high and people are really, really into it, that's a little hint to Disney that, man, maybe we should jump on this Kenobi thing. When they have their meeting in January, they might bring it up and say, well, that entertainment story, you know, that thing that he did on the podcast kind of blew up. Maybe we should go Obi-Wan or whatever. So possible explanations for it, but that's the story. That's what's out there. I'd love to see Obi-Wan, you know, standalone picture, obviously, but I'm really excited to see that he will play a role in the episodic films. I mean, technically this is a rumor. It's unsubstantiated. The guy said it was a rumor he heard, but come on, it's the guy that handles Star Wars at Entertainment Weekly. He gets all the snippets. Do you really think he's going to put that relationship he has with Disney in jeopardy? Nah, that shit ain't happening, bro. This is him actually trying to report something that has validity, even though I technically have to tell all of you that it's a rumor. So that's basically the way that it is. All right, so I want to check that nerd card really quickly, guys. The question is about Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan had a love interest in the Clone Wars animated series. He actually even told this lady that had she been open about her feelings for him, he would have left the Jedi Order to be with her. Super big deal. The question is, what is the name of that character, the one that he was in love with? Answer the question in the comment section below. Like the video. Guys, I'm working on the script for my Rogue One primer video and the trailer breakdown. So much Star Wars goodness, but I loved Catalyst. Catalyst was a great book, so I can't wait to kind of break that down and prep you guys for Rogue One. Like I said, I hope you have your tickets and you're getting super excited about that. So make sure you subscribe to the channel to get all of those Rogue One videos moving forward as we get closer to its release. I hope you're having an awesome and nerdy day. See ya!